Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right. I had two minor altercations that really showed me that I need to slow down and reevaluate a couple of things. Yesterday, as I was arriving at work, I'm driving a Honda Civic and I need to get a backup camera. I am not very good at backing out, especially in a parking lot where other people are also backing out, right? It's a very scary concept for me. And I've been putting it off, and I'll get to why in a second. It has something to do with where I now live. But I've been putting it off. And so I have a favorite parking spot at work where I could park straight in and not have to back out. And so I don't mind walking, so I just park near the back of the parking lot, right, instead of the front. There's usually a lot of free space in the back. But yesterday, I don't know what happened. I think somebody next door to our work was throwing a party or something. So yesterday was kind of busy. But most days I could park near the back of the parking lot. Now, here's the interesting thing. I used to live in Seattle, Washington. In Seattle, Washington, a lot of times the back of the parking lot isn't so free either. You got a lot of people who park in the front for obvious reasons, right? They're either handicapped or they're lazy, right? But you also had a lot of people park near the back because they were environmentally friendly. It was often the middle of the parking lot that was not too busy. So you had handicapped slash lazy people, bad drivers who need extra space, and then the environmental friendly people. That was the typical parking lot setup in Seattle. It's kind of funny. No, I'm not kidding. Leave a comment if you live in one of those progressive cities that parks like that. I would imagine New York probably parks like that. San Francisco probably also parks like that. But here in Phoenix, everybody gravitates toward the front. Nobody really cares about the environment. Gas is significantly less expensive here, right? And I don't know if it actually is, by the way, because relative to incomes, it feels like gas is more expensive. Everything's more expensive here compared to Seattle, where you can make a lot more money. Or I guess the reason I feel Seattle is less expensive is that in Seattle you can live in your car 10 months out of the year comfortably, right? Here in Phoenix, you're lucky to do it for 4 or 5 months out of the year at best, right? It's a very different concept. But anyways, I pull into one of those parking spots that allows me to pull straight forward, and guess what? Somebody arrives at just that moment. And just out of frustration and without even thinking about it, I go, and this guy's so upset. He thought I did that because he because of his race or something. He started rambling about, is it because of, I couldn't even understand. I can't even tell that he was racially any different than anybody else. And I apologized. So I said, I have an older car. I don't have a backup camera. That's why I need those extra spaces. And he started shouting about how it's not his problem and anything. And I said, well, have a good day then. And you know what's really nice? Now that I have resources, if I need to wait for him to go, I can go have a meal at a nice restaurant here. It didn't seem to bother me all that much, as it might have a year, 2 years ago when I was more financially tight. Right now, why don't you go get a backup camera if you're a millionaire? Well, the problem is that here in Phoenix, we don't have very good infrastructure. A lot of times, the place where you go get your backup camera is in the middle of nowhere. And here in Phoenix, we have a lot of what economists call hostile architecture. A lot of times you go to these places, they're not very user friendly. For one, it might take a few hours for them to install, and the place often doesn't have Wi-Fi. Temperatures are not very nice. It just leaves you in the middle of nowhere and bored to death. And as an autistic individual, I cannot deal with that. I wish there was a way to have the like a delivery service for they come to your car and install it. Well, that's also a can of worms, because I got a lot of stuff in my car. I would hate to just invite somebody to come over and steal it, right? It's just a weird conundrum. I would so much wish that I often pray that I go to work and I come back. Oh, maybe that there's a backup camera installed in it already, right? I don't know. Leave a comment if. Anyway, so and then I got to work and I started during the break. I was preaching about my idea that we could cancel our holidays and replace them with vacation days. You guys have seen my thesis on that already, and it's really just a thought concept. I'm not saying we should do it this year, but my coworker got very defensive about what he's doing Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, and long story short, the discussion ended with him pounding the table in front of all these kids, and not very pleasant. And fortunately, I had the wherewithal to quickly change the subject. Well, how's your family doing during Thanksgiving and all that? But it just made me realize I gotta be careful with that subject. It's a very emotionally charged one. I feel very emotionally charged myself because I feel my time stolen away from me. I'm doing tutoring. I very much would love to work through Thanksgiving because there are other days that are near and dear to me. I feel my time is stolen from me. Yeah, I know, but I feel very too emotionally charged about it to safely talk about it at work nowadays, it seems like. Oh, right. Just the last 24 hours have kind of shown me that Phoenix is just not very user friendly. I mean, none of these things are, I would consider them criminal or anything, but it just goes to show it's not very user friendly, and that you have to really, if you don't have the right body chemistry with the group, or the right ideologies, or things could go sideways, right? Even just replacing a backup camera could be a can of worms if for people who are, whether they be neurodivergent or differences in personality. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.